Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So some news in regards to Sky Sports and their boxing coverage. Obviously recently, Matchroom Boxing left Sky Sports to head to DAZN, and as a result, a lot of people have been speculating in regards to the future of Sky Sports Boxing and in regards to which direction they would go. Today we have found out some news. As we know, Sky Sports, after Matchroom left, they announced a link-up with Top Rank to basically show US fights for Top Rank US fights. They also announced a link-up with a company called Boxer, headed by Ben Shalom. And I believe they also announced a link-up with Wasserman Boxing, formerly Sauerland, who have the likes of Chris Eubank Jr. and Marius Briedis, and also Filip Hrgovic as well. But today we actually have some news in regards to the upcoming shows on Sky Sports, and also fighters who the promotional company Boxer have signed. So let's get into it. First and foremost, let's break down the schedule on Sky Sports Boxing. And we start on September the 11th. Now this fight might actually get cancelled due to Oscar Valdez failing a drug test, but Oscar Valdez is supposed to be fighting Robson Coensao on September the 11th, but we'll see whether that fight even happens or not. Obviously on the 25th of September, we have Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk on Sky Sports Box Office. That's a great fight, one of the fights I'm looking forward to most this year. The undercard's not strong, but it is a great main event, it really is. So there's that to look forward to. And in regards to Anthony Joshua, this is actually his last fight on Sky Sports on his exclusive contract. Will he re-sign? I mean, that's going to be very interesting. If Sky Sports could actually keep Joshua around, that would be huge for them. I'd imagine if Eddie Hearn has anything to say about it, that's not going to happen. But if they could tempt Anthony Joshua to stay, that would be huge for their platform. Say what you can say what you want about Anthony Joshua, but the guy is a bona fide star in the UK. But nevertheless, let's move on. We then move to October the 2nd, a regular fight night. We have Chris Eubank Jr. versus a German dude by the name of Sven Elbier, who I've never heard of, to tell you the truth, so that's a disappointing main event. On the undercard, you have David Avanesian versus Liam Taylor for the European welterweight title. Always good to see David Avanesian fight, really fun style, but I would imagine he beats Liam Taylor quite convincingly. And we also have the return of Richard Riakporhe on that card, as well as Mikhail Lawal versus Stephen Ward. So October 2nd, there's a couple of things to look out for, but nothing too special. October the 16th, we have Huey Fury versus Christian Hammer. It's not a bad fight for Huey Fury at this stage, but as a spectator, I'd imagine that fight will be pretty horrible to watch. You also have Savannah Marshall fighting Lolita Mazea. I don't really care about that. October the 24th, we have Jamel Herring versus Shakur Stevenson, WBO Super Featherweight title, great fight. On November the 6th, we have the Boxer Tournament. That's basically the same as Prize Fighter, a little tournament with 3-round fights, and the winner will be crowned on the night. Hopefully that little tournament is actually a heavyweight tournament. I always used to like Prize Fighter, especially when it was heavyweight, so I'm actually glad to see something like Prize Fighter come back on Sky Sports. So I'm happy with that. December the 18th, we have Josh Taylor versus Jack Catarol. Josh Taylor obviously defending his undisputed super lightweight title. Great to see Josh Taylor back in the UK on Sky Sports, defending his undisputed championship against a fellow Brit. I believe that fight will actually have some sort of traction in the UK, in the boxing scene. Again, we imagine Josh Taylor wins that fight relatively competitive, but the fact 2 British guys are fighting for undisputed on the line is a pretty good event, if you ask me. And those are the dates that have been announced so far. But Boxer, the promotional company, have announced the fighters in which they've signed, and we will actually pick out some of these names. So they've signed Huey Fury, Richard Riakporhe, Mikhail Lawal, Lewis Ritson, Chris Eubank Jr. Now Chris Eubank Jr. I thought was signed with Sauerland and Wasserman, so maybe all of these companies are linked together, who knows. But Chris Eubank Jr. is listed. You also have some female boxers, if anybody's interested. Savannah Marshall, Clarissa Shields, April Hunter. Again, I'm not particularly interested in female boxing, but those are some of the names that have been announced under the Boxer banner. And again, not too many household names. Chris Eubank Jr. is a big name in the UK. That's definitely a good start. Huey Fury does have his fans, but he's not exactly going to get the pulses racing. And, outside of Chris Eubank Jr., Huey Fury, Lewis Ritson, and a couple other females, there's nobody really all that notable there. Again, this is just the start, so we'll see who they sign in the coming weeks and months. But ultimately, I would like to see Boxer give it a good go. Ultimately, more competition in the boxing landscape can't be a bad thing. Theoretically, the more competition, it should, kind of try and push these companies to strive to put on a better product, which ultimately is good for us boxing fans. But ultimately, time will tell with Boxer, and we'll see how they get on. The most pleasing thing about Sky Sports being involved in boxing, in my opinion, is that they are covering the top-rank fights. I mean, when you look back in the last couple of years, how many great fights have we missed out on that were broadcast by Top Rank in the US? I mean, these fights weren't even televised in the UK. I'm talking about fights like Josh Taylor versus Jose Ramirez, Artur Beterbiev versus Alexander Usyk. These fights were not on mainstream British TV, so it's good that Top Rank now have an official home in the UK. I'm pleased about that, to be honest. And again, I actually would like to see Top Rank maybe try and get in on the UK act. I mean, they are with Josh Taylor and Jack Catarol. I wouldn't mind seeing Josh Taylor fight a few more fights in the UK under Top Rank, but we shall see. Who knows what the future holds for Sky Sports and boxing? Will Boxer try and sign some of these Olympians out of Tokyo 2021? If they could sign a couple of those guys, it would definitely be a step in the right direction for Sky Sports and Boxer. But all in all, listen, looking at the schedule, Top Rank fights aside, and when you look at the Boxer fights, there's nothing really there, to be honest, telling the truth. But ultimately, this is just the start. It will take time. I'm willing to give them time. You guys know me, I'm very critical these days of the product which is being served. But listen, Boxer, they are starting out. I'm willing to give them a few months to see how they pan out. If they do good, great. If they don't, I will criticise them. It's really that simple, but hopefully they do something good. Anyway, share your thoughts below. What did you make of this announcement? First and foremost, what do you make of the schedule? Again, I like the Top Rank fights, to be honest. The Boxer fights, not so great, but again, it is a start. Tell me what you guys think of the schedule, and tell me what you guys believe the future holds for Boxer and Sky Sports Boxing. Share your thoughts below. Peace.